welcome back. My name is Brittany and today's video is a February TBR. I have a nice mix of book club commitments, new releases I want to check out, some series I want to continue, and then February is also vacation month, and so I have some books that I think are going to fit a perfect beachy vacation vibe. I do feel good about what I've picked, do feel confident I could get to most of these. I'm a mood reader, and so sometimes I get distracted by like new shiny books. I might need a little help, so. If you've read any of these books I'm talking about today, comment down below. Hype me up, keep me on track, okay? The first book I want to talk about is one of two book club commitments. So this is Thistlefoot by Jenna Rose Nethercott, and it is narrated by January Lavoie, and I will be listening to this book through Spotify's premium account as an audio, so that's how I will be enjoying this story. This follows the estranged yaaaa siblings. They're reunited at the prospects of an inheritance, and it's not in the fashion of land or money, but it is a sentient house on chicken legs. So yeah, one of my girlfriends picked this for a book club that she hosts, and it sounds really interesting and I'm excited to check it out. The next book club book I have is for a local book club, and this will actually be the book we discuss in March, but it is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. If I get to this one, it will also be an audiobook. And it would actually be a reread. So I listened to the story a couple of years ago and I remember really enjoying it. So Annie Bell was murdered 5 years ago and the whole town knows Sal did it. However, when our main character Pippa starts investigating the murder for a school project, the case isn't as cut and dry as previously thought. The story is really fun, and I would recommend, if you pick it up, to pick the audiobook because there's a lot of interviews, podcast style choices to this story, and it is narrated by a full cast. Like, one of those features I'm like thinking of specifically is there's like audio tapes that Pippa listens to, and you actually hear like the cassette get loaded, the lid's closed, you hear the play button, you hear the whirring and the humming of the tape playing, and then you hear that kind of like muffled different tone to like the audio if you were to be listening to the tape. So I just think that was a cool production choice. I'm hoping to pick it up again. I'd probably pick this up later in the month just so I can be ready for book club and the discussions about it. I have two new releases that I want to pick up, and one of them I'm really excited for. One of them I'm not so excited for. Kind of lukewarm. The book I'm kind of hesitant and maybe not so excited for is Crescent City 3 by Sarah J. Maas, House of Flame and Shadow. And this comes out like tomorrow. So, like, I know a lot of people are excited about it, and I hope Sarah brings this third book back for me. I've enjoyed her other series. I don't know, I have a few reasons why I don't enjoy this one. Let's just tell you what it's about. Crescent City follows Bryce Quinlan as she's investigating a murder, and this murder hits very close to home and was caused by a demon, so there's trouble in the community too. She will do anything she can to help solve this murder, even if it means working with the notorious angel assassin Hunt Athalar. So a few reasons why I'm kind of meh about this book. It's just not my favorite fantasy subgenre. So this is an urban fantasy. So Bryce is fae, Hunt is an angel, we have demons, we have other mythical beings, but it's in current time, and so they're like texting on their cell phones, and like they're going to the gym and the nail salon, and like that just really pulls me out of a story. It is, I don't know, it's hard for me to find an urban fantasy I enjoy. I want to be in the dark ages or like way the fuck in the future. Like, I kind of don't want to be like here in these times, like I'm trying to escape them. So that just kind of throws me off. That's just more of a personal preference. I had a lot of problems with the pacing, the plot structure in general, and then like book 2 just, I don't know what the fuck was going on, and like there were two pretty significant reveals at the end. One of them I thought was cool, but it didn't make sense for like the overall arc of the story, and the second one I just didn't like, and I think I'm in the minority about that. A lot of SJM fans are excited for it, they love the twists. I mean, the endings for both books are really explosive, but I am curious enough to pick up book 3 because I want to know what she does with that book. Just because I didn't like it, like I'm wondering if she can bring it back around. And if not, this just might not be a series for me. If this sounds interesting to you, definitely check it out. I am not like the authority or the expert on Sarah J Maas, but I would say if it sounds interesting, pick it up. However, we've reached the point in Sarah's writing where you do need to check out other series within her world. So if you're going to pick up Crescent City, I would recommend reading ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses first, because things are starting to connect. Like, it won't be as impactful if you haven't read ACOTAR. So there's kind of some homework you need to do if you want to avoid spoilers and just have the best time reading Crescent City. So I'm cautiously hopeful, hesitantly entering this journey. We'll see. We'll just see. I don't know. I will be listening to this on audiobook. It's narrated by Elizabeth Evans, and she narrated the other two books in the series. I like her voice. I think she brings Bryce to life really well. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes. The next new release I want to pick up is The Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. And this one I am very excited for. I'm so excited. I basically picked up books 1 and 2 in January, and thank God we have the conclusion coming on the 8th of February, because that's a great series. This is a fantasy debut novel and trilogy for Richard Swan, and I just think he did something really great for a debut. I think it's exciting because it's so well done. Oh man, I think I might have to make a separate gush video because I've enjoyed it so much. But I'm really hoping, like, I'm confident he's gonna like knock it out of the fucking park for me because of how the first 2 books have gone. I just have a really good feeling. Let me tell you what it's about. So The Empire of the Wolf is the series, and our first book starts us off following Sir Conrad von Valt, and he is a justice for the king of the empire. The justices in this world, they're policeman, investigator, judge, jury, executioner, all in one. So they have a lot of power to try to mitigate the chaos in the world. The justices also have some really cool powers. So they can perform necromancy and interrogate their victims after death. They are able to use the Emperor's voice, which is like a very powerful, like, magical projection of their voice to command people. So Sir Conrad von Valt would be like, drop your swords, and they'd be like they like physically like wouldn't be able to like resist that. Or he can use the Emperor's voice for interrogation, like, where were you Friday? Like whoa, blah, like, okay, they just would be convulsed to tell him like what was happening. So I think those things are really cool. The author Richard Swan is a lawyer, and so there's a lot of law-based moral dilemmas, ethical questions, like how much power can one man hold? There's a lot of that sprinkled within this book and series, and it just is you can just tell his expertise in the field is shining through. Another really great thing about this series is the way it's told. So while we are following Sir Conrad von Valt, we are following him through the eyes of his apprentice Helena, but she is telling us the story from the future. So I think that's really cool because there's this extra layer of tension and questions, like, well, she made it out alive, does anyone else? Like, I don't know. And then she sometimes breaks that narrative wall where we'll be hearing about a scenario, hearing about what happened, and then all of a sudden she'll say something like, I wish I could have stayed in this moment a bit longer because it would be the last night of peace for quite some time. And you're like, oh shit, like, now what's gonna happen? Like, it's obviously like a fantasy story, and stories in general, there's going to be conflict, tension, like something has to go wrong for our heroes, right? But when we have the narrator breaking that wall and kind of setting up like that something is happening like very soon, it just makes it more stressful. like, oh my God. Really liked it. Book 2 is like fantastic. The series starts with these 2 characters I've already told you about, Sir Conrad and Helena, and they're investigating the murder of a wealthy, well-known aristocrat, and that opens up into a larger political plot involving the church and the dark magic of the justices. And so book 2 really expands on those things. There's some very heartbreaking moments, some really good, like, anxiety-ridden, like, I'm getting chills. Oh my God. There's like the best, like, sneaking around scenes. Oh man, I'm so excited, and I'm so mad I slept on this series for so long because it really does feel like a new favorite. I have some series I want to continue on with. The first one being the Skyward series by Brandon Sanderson. I've already read books 1 and 2, so I will be picking up the novellas with this series, starting with Sunreach. Sunreach follows FM, who is a character we meet in Skyward, and we get to follow FM while Spensa, our other main character, is off doing whatever she's doing in book 2, Starsight. So this series follows Spensa and her journey to becoming a fighter pilot for her planet to help protect from some alien forces. And all she wants to do is be a hero like her dad, but she runs into a lot of trouble because her dad was famously shot down during one of the most important space battles for their planet. So she faces a lot of challenges with that. We get to follow a lot of really great characters, and so I'm excited to see what's been happening on Detritus while Spensa has been off having her own adventures. The next series I want to keep my momentum going on is the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. I read Malice in December and I really liked it. It had the feelings of a new favorite. I liked what I was reading. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of names and places in the first kind of chunk of this book, so I actually had to make a note card. There's a few times I was reading and I was like, oh, like so-and-so died, who is that? Oh shit, that's that person. So I did have to make a little note card, so I really want to just keep going so I don't fucking forget anything. And also book 1, it has a really explosive ending. This series so far is your typical epic fantasy where we follow a variety of characters, multiple point of views, and their ultimate coming together. One of our characters that we follow is Corbin, and Corbin is the sweetest baby angel. I just love him. Corbin is a young boy and he's on the brink of manhood. He's training for these trials to kind of cross that threshold so he can join the King's army, and we get really lovely like slice of life. We get to see his struggles as he deals with bullies. We meet his sister, and his sister is so cool. Like, she's the best sister. I just really like that pairing. And then we get to see what happens when trouble comes to his town and the larger politics at play. We also follow Prince Nathir, and he has different plans than his dad, the king, about the way things should be done, and he kind of goes off on his own against the king's will. And then he brings into this kind of scheme his swordsman Veratus, and Veratus is struggling. He lives in his brother's shadow, doesn't have the best family relationships. You see him struggle with honor and decisions as he's pulled into Prince Nathir's plots. It's just great. There's giants, gods, there's obviously evil at play, right? We have animal companions, some secrets. Like I said, the ending to book 1 was really explosive, and I just need to make sure everyone's okay. So I'm gonna continue on with Valor. I mentioned in my goals video that I want to read a nonfiction or just kind of something outside of my comfort zone. And one of those books that I talked about was The Woman They Could Not Silence by Kate Moore. You know, I was editing that video, reflecting, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great book. Why don't I just pick it up? Like, I'm interested in it right now. Let's just read it right now. So this is a nonfiction about Elizabeth Packard, housewife and mother of 6. And one summer, her not-so-lovely husband commits her to Illinois State Hospital. She is in danger not only from her husband, but from the doctors who are charged with taking care of her, and she quickly learns that she is not the only sane woman in the hospital. There's an excerpt at the beginning, and she said that she took any written document she could find about this event, transcripts, court documents, interviews, and that's how she structured this book. That's all the things she used to create it, and it just sounds really horrifying and fascinating, and I just want to know how Elizabeth makes it out alive. Okay. One reason why February is so exciting for me is that it's vacation month and we're going to Mexico. Thank God, because it is like fucking -10 here in Alaska and I'm too damn cold. Like, I need a little bit of sunshine to help get me through these last couple months of winter. One thing I really like to do when I'm on vacation is read books from the places I'm going to be at. I'd picked up Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. It's really fun. I liked that pairing where I had picked up like a Mexico-inspired book because as I was reading, there were places in the city where we were going to or had heard of, and I was like, oh yeah, like we were close to that place. So it's just kind of a fun way to be a little more immersed in the culture. You know, when I reflect back on that book, I'm like, oh yeah, like I read that in Mexico and it was so fun. So I do want to bring a few books for this vacation. The first book for my vacation reads would be The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This is described as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca, and both of those are just great. If you know either story, just kind of a great combination. The Hacienda is a supernatural suspense debut novel following Beatrice after the execution of her father and the destruction of her home during the Mexican War of Independence. Beatrice meets Don Rafaldo and ends up marrying him despite the suspicious nature of his first wife's passing. She thinks that, you know, I need security, I need a house, kind of everything's gone to shit, so I'm gonna go for it. But things continue to worsen for our main character Beatrice as she starts to see visions and hear voices. It sounds like a unique, fun thriller. I had read Mexican Gothic and I liked those vibes, and I'm really hoping with this book and the next one for some really beautiful like Mexico descriptions. Yeah, I just think it sounds like a good time to read on the beach. The other book I would like to read on vacation is The Murmur of Bees by Sofia Segovia. I'm cheating because I want to get their names right. This is narrated by Z Sands and Angelo Di Laurento. I have this as an audiobook. It's available through Kindle Unlimited right now for ebooks and audiobook. So it would be nice to just have something to read and to listen to while I'm on vacation. This also takes place in Mexico, and it is a translated Mexican fiction debut about a mysterious child set against the backdrop of the Mexican Revolution and the influenza of 1918. Nana Reja found a baby disfigured and covered by a swarm of bees, and this shakes the town up when she adopts him as her own. Our character Simano Pio is the baby who grows up still covered by bees and ends up having visions of harm and blessings to the people around him. So him and the bees will do whatever they can to protect the ones I love. Again, I'm hoping for some really beautiful descriptions of Mexico. It sounds interesting, like maybe some like magical realism or potentially some metaphors with these bees surrounding him. I don't know, it just sounds kind of interesting, and I'm gonna check it out, hopefully. The last book I have for vacation is Outlawed by Anna North. I would like to check out a Western this year. And when I picked this up a couple years ago, I thought it sounded great, and I forgot about it. And then when I looked at it again, I'm like, oh yeah, that still sounds really fun. Why don't we just read it? Let's just read it, right? The little like kind of hook line that got me says, "In the year of our Lord, 1894, I became an outlaw." Like, okay, sold. So this follows our main character, Ada, and she is 17 years old, living, laughing, loving life with her new husband. However, a year passes without a pregnancy, and she soon becomes fearful for her life that she will be hanged as a witch. So she makes the tough decision to leave her town and runs into the kid, who is a notorious preacher turned like outlaw cowboy with their band of rebels, and they have a plan of their own. So I don't know, it just sounds kind of fun, like an adventure, ridiculous. I don't know. I think this could be a fun beach read. That is it, you guys. My first TBR video. I really hope I can get to all these and update you on how the month went. Let me know what you're reading down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye!